Hello everyone, my name is Bojaq, and welcome back to 1 month later, an original Hearse Boys segment. Now, right out the gate, I know that I'm a fresh face to the series. Looking at our video history, it might be a little difficult to tell, but there's actually quite a few of us here at Hearse Boys, and I'm really excited to be making my first video about this game in particular. So I'm not going to waste too much time here. Without further ado, this is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 Remake 1 month later. Now, when we first started this segment, we started with Death Stranding, and Rainey gave you a really good look at what type of gamer he is and the type of experience he's looking for. Since I'm a new face, I wanted to do something like that, but I really decided to keep the context more about this game in particular, so the context I'm giving you is just for this video specifically. I deeply love skateboard games and skate culture in general. I've never been able to really get the hang of skating in real life, and that always drew me to these kinds of games. Some of my first memories of gaming involved the original Tony Hawk Pro Skater on the PS1, and my love for the genre carried over as I got older to games like Skate and Ollie Ollie. I honestly think that given my older age by then, I grew to love and appreciate the skate titles a lot more, since it was a fresh take on the genre as opposed to Tony Hawk's and Ollie Ollie's more arcadey approach. Nonetheless, I wouldn't be able to bring up my history with video games without mentioning Pro Skater in some way, considering how many hours and essentially years I spent playing them. My parents didn't necessarily understand video game accessories, so getting a memory card for my PS1 or my PS2 took a lot of convincing that most times wouldn't go my way. That being said, I enjoyed video games that were easy to pick up and play without having to worry about save points or anything too demanding. Things like fighting games, party games, racing games, and the Tony Hawk series. It was almost a mini game for me to see how many things I could unlock in one sitting before having to shut the console off for the night and have to start over the next day. But as I got older, I found myself getting a bit tired of the series considering its repetitiveness, and honestly it just didn't really grab me anymore. I can say that it's been well over a decade since I've touched a Tony Hawk game before this title, which brings me perfectly to my next point. Loading the game up and getting the original Pro Skater 2 intro and music immediately put a smile on my face. So many memories came to mind in that moment, and then watching the transition in the intro from the original to the new high-resolution remake intro, showcasing the remake's new and returning skaters. It's actually a perfect way to describe this game. So many things I loved about the original and some fresh new additions that truly complement that nostalgia and carries it into a new age gracefully. I loaded the game up before it was finished downloading just to get a sneak peek at it, and I was happy to find a free skate mode available on Warehouse and the complete tutorial available as well. After a few minutes playing around in these modes, I noticed that my age was showing. I've lost most of my ability to chain together different tricks and combos, rack up high scores, and I found myself falling a lot. The tutorial gave me a good refresher, but in my opinion there's a balance of skill and familiarity to this title that can only be attained by having multiple sessions in a row. Once it finished downloading and I was able to navigate through the full menu, I felt overwhelmed with the layout. But after a few minutes scrolling through the different modes, skaters, challenges, and explored the create a skater function, I got it all down. One thing about me as a gamer, when I load up a game for the first time, I like to scroll through every single menu, every option, just really look at every single thing I can click on. Not for any particular reason, it's just something I've done since I was young. And the fact that this game really ties different menu navigations to different buttons, it felt a little overwhelming because I thought it was done and then I had to click R2 instead, and I hate when games do that. I finally decided to jump into some skate tours. I was immediately impressed with the fact that everything felt like the originals. I noticed that they added some extra park goals on the map that weren't in the first game, but everything else was just as I remembered. This is nothing like that terrible HD version we got in 2012 on PSN. You can immediately feel the real attention to detail and care that was put into this. This game was truly built from the ground up. Gameplay is smooth, all of the details of the map are updated, and it looks really fresh, but yet it still captures that high energy gameplay from the first ones. I ran through some sessions on Warehouse exactly the way I would have before, tackling one different goal at a time, maybe a park goal and a score goal per session. I'm definitely rusty, but I found myself having a lot of fun very quickly. Now, considering the amount of content that was in the original two games, plus the new content in this new remake, I kinda had a question to consider. Now, the most important part of this game, by far, we need to talk about the story. There is no story. Now, I find myself in an interesting position when it comes to runtime for this. On one hand, I'm not sure if this game has a runtime per se, considering it's never really finished, and this is the kind of game you just pick up whenever you want to bust out some tricks, or maybe people are over and you guys want to get some skate action going. On the other hand, Vicarious Visions took the many challenges found in the past games and added so much more content in terms of things to unlock and complete. There's a challenge for almost anything, and completing challenges gets you some in-game currency for your creative skater, as well as levels you up, which then unlocks more tiers of clothes, boards, wheels, and other customizations. Now, I haven't unlocked everything yet, considering just how much there is. And also, I was personally turned off by the creative skater function simply because there isn't an option to put glasses on your skater. I really tried to make myself to a T in the game, and I think I did pretty good, but I don't know if you feel the same way I feel, but the glasses make the look, and the fact that I didn't have them, it really just turned me off to that. So I can understand people who just like making wacky characters, and I'm sure that's something that you'll enjoy. But for me personally, every time there's a create a skater function or a create a character function in any game, I like to just make myself. So the fact that I can't wear glasses, it turned me off immediately. With that being said, I have come to the decision that the runtime in this game is essentially endless, at least for me, considering that's just the kind of game this is. Now, that may vary for you depending on the type of gamer you are, which begs the question: this is a great game for many different kinds of gamers. On the surface, many might feel this was made for the people who enjoyed and played the originals on PS1, considering how much of it was marketed as like a, hey, remember that game you love kind of approach. But considering how fresh of a title this version is, and how much new content there is here, this is actually a perfect first game for people who have never played the series or the genre. It's not as realistic and demanding when compared to games like Skate or that new Session, but a little more true to the sport and the culture of it compared to something like Ali. This game is really made for both the completionist gamer who likes to finish every challenge and unlock every item, as well as the casual gamer who just wants to boot the game up and get a few sessions in. I find myself somewhere in the middle of those two when it comes to this title specifically. I like to just pick it up and play for the sake of the gameplay, and if I can complete some challenges while I'm doing that, as long as it doesn't take me out of my way, then why not? One of my favorite things is that the original cheats are here from part 1 and part 2. The cheats are great for those who don't want to have to worry about the various meters in the game, which I found myself using quite a bit just to quickly unlock stages and items. I've played Tony Hawk so much over the years that I'm not really worried about how good my manuals are or how good my grinding is. I just want to play, and I'm happy that the cheats were there for me for something like that. The cheats are great also for younger players who maybe just want to skate around and they don't have to worry about all the intricacies with the meters. Me personally, I'm not too worried about being good when it comes to technicals. I have no one to impress, and if I want that greater challenge, I can simply hit pause and turn those mods off. Say what you will about cheats being a cop-out or anything like that for all you purists, but honestly, you can't talk 90s games without talking about video game cheats. They go hand in hand. Playing the game with cheat codes almost added a sense of nostalgia for me personally, and on top of the fact that I bought the game with my money, I'm not worried about how other people see me play. Moving right along. Now, I know I've touched on some of this in the intro and a couple of the earlier points, but this really deserves its own section. Graphically, this game is beautiful. The maps are fleshed out so much more with beautiful updated graffiti and not a single weird fading background in sight like the old games. Everything looks great, and this is one of those 90s games that really complements well from getting such a facelift like this. Not all games need to be remastered, and in the climate we're in where many games and mediums are simply remade or remastered, rather than putting your energy into new IPs and titles, this is one of the very few that truly deserved it. Gameplay is smooth, gorgeous, and there's so much to do. The Create a Park mode has been completely redone. The amount of freedom and creativity found in this mode specifically is enough to spend hours and hours making some really sick parks. One of my favorite additions to this mode also ties in with another new addition not found in the original games, and that's the online multiplayer aspect of it. When it comes to parks specifically, your creations can be posted and shared with other players, and it really makes you want to spend that extra time perfecting your park before sharing it with the world. And on the skating side, online multiplayer accompanies the classic couch multiplayer and gives you a casual mode as well as a competitive mode to really see how you fare up against other people. I got a couple rounds in a casual lobby when recording gameplay for this B-roll, and it was cool to see everyone showing off their created characters, and despite me not really being happy with my own guy, I could really see myself trying to level up as high as possible to unlock all of the items and showcase all of those high level items in a room like this. While this is still primarily a single or in-person multiplayer kind of game for me personally, it's nice to have that online option and have it work really well. I really got to give Vicarious Visions credit for a lot of the detail they put into the skating aspect of it. There's so many things that weren't even found in the original games that they kept, different ways to chain combos together like reverts and bouncing off the walls. Now those are things that were never in the OG games, so the fact that they decided to include those in here just to give it a much better flow shows that the people behind this really know what they're doing and they really care about this series. Now before we get to the verdict, there's one thing I want to touch on that I didn't get to add into any other section, and that's the music of the game. I really enjoyed the original music in Pro Skater 1 and 2, and while most of my favorite songs made it back, they really took time to add in a lot of fresh new songs as well. Now the new songs, most of them aren't for me, with the exception of Skepta, and that's fine. I think that there's at least one song for everyone. Let me know in the comments below how you feel about those new songs. Maybe there's one you do like. I must say though, after a good amount of time, I did find myself just turning the music off altogether and just putting the Spotify add-on from the PS4 and just playing my own music, because technology, right? I really can't find anything wrong with this remake. This really is a great title whether you've played the old ones or not. The only way I wouldn't recommend this game to someone is if you don't like skating. At $40 American, the amount of content you get from both the first and second original games, packed with new challenges, songs, skaters, and features that will last you well over a month, and then given this beautiful facelift, it really makes it worth the purchase. If you're like me, this title is a perfect addition to a library of a lot of new cinematic based experiences when you really just want to take a break and bust out some skate tricks. So yeah, that was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 remake for me. I'm really glad I got to make my very first video for the channel about this game in particular, and I hope to make some more videos soon for you guys. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, hit that bell icon if you want to know what Hearse Boys is up to in the future. My name is Bojaq. This is an original Hearse Boys segment, and I'll see you at the next video.